I'd like to talk about person-centered organisations. For me, the starting point has always been around accountability to the people supported by the organisation. And you work in a person-centered way, to me, is the ultimate way of showing accountability to them. Starting off from the simple point of view of, are you doing what people want? Are you putting it right when you're not doing it quite so well? And are you learning with the individual in terms of how to improve, etc., is at the heart of that. But also more about what does it tell us as an organisation generally when you add up all the various individuals and how we might be doing generally as an organisation. So it starts off from a fairly simple premise, but actually it's not quite as straightforward as that. I think partly also then it's about you can use the kind of the analogy that people often use these days with personalised support, which is around, you put money in somebody's hand and they become an empowered customer, and like, employing the local plumber, the plumber comes along and they'll hopefully satisfy what the customer demands and everybody's happy. The problem with that analogy is that, of course, within social care, the issues are more important than fixing a leaking tap. You have often long-term relationship with the people providing you with care and support. It's not just like somebody's just come in for a half an hour's job and all the rest of it. And also, actually, you're not usually quite as empowered as somebody who can just pick up the phone and say, can you come and do this, that and the other, and be able to specify that. And so what we're looking for is to try and emulate, in the sense of accountability. So it's a job well done. You want the person to be able to be empowered to specify more for themselves. And so at the heart of the relationship is, how does an individual with a need, whether it be learning disability, dementia, whatever, take increasing control over their own lives. And the person-centered approach is aimed towards that end. And there are a number of techniques which people can learn, and one of them, which McIntyre is using at the moment with an organisation called Groundswell, which is all supported by Community Catalysts, has been looking at the natural talents and abilities of individuals who are being supported, and say, well, actually, what more can we do to build on those to help that individual create a greater sense of self-esteem, which maybe might help their feeling of control and so on and so forth. But also just to be a natural starting point in terms of those are people's preferences, that's what people like, that's what people have already got some confidence around. How do you build it up? And to legitimize that, in a sense, to say to an individual as part of the person-centered planning process, tell us more about this, or indeed, if you find that difficult to say, hear what other people say about the things that you are particularly good at. And a very good example of somebody I was speaking to very recently, who lives in a registered care home, and he spent much of his older childhood and adulthood in a long-stay hospital. Didn't have a good experience there, as many people didn't have, and is still quite bitter about all of that. But he has since moved in to a registered care home, lived there for a number of years now, and would argue that has been a good move for him, but it's kind of plateaued a bit. It's kind of now what? I've been here a while now, and it's kind of, my life is beginning to kind of not stagnate, but it's just not moving forward. And he's not getting any younger like the rest of us, and would like to still achieve more for himself. And through this process of understanding, what his real talents were, whatever we say about him, is that he has got an extraordinary talent for talking to people and making the other person he's talking to feel really engaged, feeling that he's interested in, because he is, and he has just an extraordinary natural ability to put people at ease and to converse. And so with his interest within the local church, he has joined their befriending group, and so now he has a job, as he would refer to, because he has a fee for this, but he volunteers most of his time, where he goes and visits local people who are living on their own, mostly older people living on their own, and we'll go and have afternoon tea and we'll chat with them and make them feel fantastic. And he comes away feeling he really enjoyed the experience and he's doing something really worthwhile. And so his life is feeling far more purposeful as a result. And that is really just about trying to link in with his own abilities and giving them a bit of a value in terms of what he's now able to contribute to others, and increases his self-esteem and well-being and all the rest of it. And I think there are ways of working that help stimulate that thinking, and by linking in with an organisation like Groundswell and Community Catalyst, what it might do is it creates a bit of an external challenge, which I think we all need in all our organisations, despite our best intent. And also we only know what we know, and have external challenge which is also informed on practice elsewhere, thinking elsewhere, and to share that across the board I think is really a good catalyst for change, and in something which part of the problem is that we don't want to overcomplicate things. We're trying to do things in an organisation that all our colleagues feel comfortable with, that it's not management sort of speak, that it's not the next initiative and so on and so forth, which is just handed down from on high. And so we're trying to find a way that actually empowers everybody, because the other side of this coin is not only about tapping into the talent of the people being supported and helping them build up their own self-esteem, but also tapping into the hidden talents of one's workforce. Because surprise, surprise, yes, they've all got their core competencies in care or education, whatever else, and be on nursing, but in actual fact they've also got their own lives, and they have huge interest in whether it be sport, whether it be film, whether it be fixing old second-hand cars. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's what really lights their boat quite often, and so or floats their boat. And so what they often do then is actually by saying to them, actually we'd like to know more about that, because those interests may be interest to the people actually also that are in the circle of individuals that you're providing some support for, and we'll do a bit of matching around that, and collectively that actually really begins to unlock resource and talent across the whole organisation, and also gets everybody to buy in. And we call it people plus, because it is about yes, the person's at the centre, but there's a little bit extra. And so that little bit extra we want to kind of legitimise and say this is good, we want to know about it, and can we find a way of tapping into your enthusiasm, tapping into your talents, likewise with the people we support, and the two come together and you get a potential for a real win-win situation happening. And it's fairly early days yet, but I think it's something when organisations are being put under tremendous pressure at the moment around the cutting back on government funding that's happening across social care, and expecting more for less all the time. I see it as actually an important part of organisational resilience, because it's not adding to the resource of the organisation. It's actually what it's doing is actually empowering the resource that's already there. It's helping individuals maybe to be less dependent, because actually they are building up a sense of self-esteem, which is maybe enabling them to spend their time in a slightly different way than always having it, support by professional support. But also for the professionals that we've got, it retains them because they're feeling more job satisfaction, and also, their value is increased by the fact that they are contributing more of themselves into the work. And so it does actually, it's an affordable way of trying to still, do the right thing as an organisation to continuously improve, while having to also be mindful that budgets are extremely tight and potentially reducing.